Morning, everybody. I'm Steve Lentini. I'm the founder of Lord and Lentini and the creator of the Acorn Brain Work, helping people expand from small minded thinking, living as a reaction to limitless thinking, and bringing that everywhere, especially in leadership. This is a series about leadership, and today's episode is about leading sales teams and for CEOs to understand what's happening when sales aren't going the way that you had hoped. It's interesting how many times companies project things and then they don't go the way that they projected. A lot of times it's a lack of understanding of what's driving the behavior of their sales teams. And then what is the message that you're projecting to your customers and through your sales teams? Because if you're asking your people what they closed lately and you're consciously continuously checking everything that's in the pipeline, you're pressuring your sales teams, and they're going to extend that pressure to their customers. They're not going to do what I'm going to talk about today based on my new book, Helping People Buy. Now, originally I wrote this in 2021, so I updated it this year. And the new subtitle is A Sales Methodology Customers Trust and Salespeople Love. And I added all my work about the acorn brain because it relates to what's happening in the buyer's mind, in your prospective customer's mind, in your future customers' minds, when they're looking at something your people are selling and they've never experienced your company before. And so this is a process where you teach your sales teams how to become curious and to find the best clients, to find the fit, which means you have to help them develop questions. And at the same time, go there with the mindset of helping your customers buy, not to sell them anything, because not everybody's a fit. And then the buyer meets a new salesperson, and what do you think their acorn brain is telling them? Their brain's telling them, you don't know this person. Do you know if you can trust them? You've got to change everything your company's doing to buy from this company. What if it fails? I'm going to get fired, or people are going to question my abilities if it doesn't work out well. And I tell a few stories in the book about some amazing sales. One at a major university that started with, when we got there, we got the appointment. We had wanted the appointment for a long time. We got the appointment and the buyer said to us, hey, by the way, I want to let you know we could never buy from you. Imagine it starting that way. And my salesperson that was with me wanted to go on the attack. What do you mean? And I could see her tensing up in her body language. She started to sit up in her chair. And I said, that's reasonable. I stopped her and said to the buyer, that's reasonable. I understand that. And would you tell me why? And she said, well, we have 16 suppliers and we're going to go to one. So how could we ever buy from you? How could we ever award you? Some of those suppliers we've had for over 30 years. I said, I understand that. I said, in fact, I don't think I'd award us the business. Now my salesperson wanted to kill me. I said, I don't think I'd award us the business. I can't imagine what you'd say to your boss. Who's your boss? And she told me, she said, well, the president of the university. So imagine going to him and saying, hey, we just awarded all the business to a company we've never done business with. And we disqualified all the people that we've been doing business with, some of which we were doing business for over 30 years. And we said no to them. So I said, well, why did you invite us in? I'm just curious. I'm glad we're here. It's great to meet you. Tell me. And she said, well, we heard a lot of things about you since you moved into our state. We were new in the state. And at that point, we had been there, I think, 2 years when we got the appointment. And I said, okay, what'd you hear? She said, some good, some bad. I said, well, give me the bad. And she told me the bad. And I said, okay, some of that's true, some of that's not. She said, I thought so. I said, where'd you hear that? And she said, your competition. Then I said, well, what about the good? And she told me some of the good things she heard. And I said, okay, well, some of that's true and some of it's not, by the way. I said, where'd you hear that? And she said, your customers. Very interesting, right? Finding that out instead of going on the attack. So I said, since we're not going to get the business, do you mind telling me what's going on? What's happening? Why is it that you're going to go from 16 suppliers to one? And she told me everything. So they were in charge of all the services on the university. The engineering, the snow plowing, the grass cutting, the cleaning. Excuse me. And she said, we're under intense pressure because the president of the university has allowed the deans to go to commercial cleaning companies and landscaping and snow plowing. And if they do it all, we're going to interview those people and go get pricing for services. Because over the years, our wages have gone up and our benefits have gone up. The costs have gone up. So we want to make sure that we're keeping in line with what's happening for people that are using commercial services. I said, okay, I understand that. I said, has any of the deans in some of the schools changed? She said, yes. We've lost two of the deans, two of the schools that are part of the university. I said, okay. So then what are you worried about? She said, well, what if we lose everything? And now they're taking some of our employees and they don't take them all because they can't take the higher paid ones. They can't take our team leaders. So people are losing their jobs. She said, yes, and or we're trying to find them work elsewhere in the university. I said, okay. I said, well, after sharing that with me, it sounds like you need a partner. And she said to me, what's that? What's your idea about that? I said, well, you have 16 people that are going to go to one supplier. Is there a process that you have? She said, oh, yeah, okay. We're going to go from 16 to 1 by interviewing all 16, asking what their ideas are, how they can help us. And eventually we're going to go to 9, then we're going to go to 6, then we're going to go to 3, then we're going to go to a finalist. I said, so this is going to take a few months. She said, yeah, probably 3 months. I said, okay. I said, well, I can't imagine that not one of them would have the same idea. I'm in the same business. I imagine one would say, you need a partner. You need a partnership. And she nodded and said, yeah, you're right. That's true. So I said, if you don't hear that, call me. I'll tell you. I'll share with you my idea about partnership. She said, I will. Thank you very much. A month later, after they had done the initial interview of the 16, I got a phone call. Steve, hi, I'll say Mary from the university. Hi, Mary. Do you mind coming in next Tuesday? I said, no, I don't mind. I'll come in. What am I coming in for? She said, I want to hear about your idea of partnership. I said, you mean no one had the idea of partnership? She said, no. I said, you talked to all 16 people, your current vendors. Yes, Steve. We talked to all 16 vendors. Not one mentioned partnership. We want to hear what you have to say about that. And I did. I went in the next Tuesday and explained my ideas about partnership. And I asked her for a favor. I said, I have one favor. I know it's crazy. I know we're never going to get the business, but do you mind adding me to that list of 16 and considering me? And she said, no, I don't mind. 3 months later, we won the business. We had never done $1 with them. Some of the competitors had done business with them for 20, 25, 30, and in one case, 35 years. They were stunned. A few of them, talk about the hard sell, called the buyer and eliminated themselves from consideration. What they did was made her wrong. See, that's the acorn brain. That's what I'm talking about in the book, helping people buy. And I have a new sales app, helping people buy. So if you email me, Steve, let's go this way. Steve at a Steve at stevelentini.com. I'll send you the link to the sales training app. It's priced very reasonably, and your people can get all of the ideas about being present and authentic and building a system that customers trust and salespeople love, because you'll be disqualifying people that don't fit for your company. Because part of this program is to identify the ideal and then the next level of customer, and learn to disqualify people that are too far down the chain. And most companies, when I go through their customer lists, have customers that they're not happy with them. They're not profitable. They don't respect them. The customer doesn't respect the company's guidelines, and they're troublesome customers. They'd be a C or a D if you rated them. And it's because they didn't give salespeople any guideline other than, what did you close lately? And you got a goal. You better bring it in. And so they bring in any customer. They disregard what makes a great customer. And they're not curious about finding the fit. So back to that university story, 3 of the initial 16, when we were added to the list, called the buyer and said, what are you doing? What are you doing? We've been doing business with you for years. Why are you adding an outside competitor who's never done business with the university? And she silently eliminated them. And when the list of 9 came out, so they got eliminated because they called her, 3 of them. So it went from 16 to 9. When the list of 9 came out and we were still on it, right? 3 more vendors out of 9 called her and said, we understood why you added them to the initial list of 16, making them number 17. But when you made them acceptable for the list of 9, we thought, what's going on? We've been doing business with you for years. Why are you adding them? She eliminated 3 more. So when it got to the list of 6, we were on it, which meant 5 of the original 16 were remaining. 11 of her existing suppliers were eliminated, and 6 of those self-eliminated by challenging the buyer. Fascinating math. Then we were on the list of 3. Of course, the 6, no one said anything. We were on the list of 3 finalists to come in and present to the whole committee, the whole group. And we won the business. And we had never done $1. And the sale started out with, we could never buy from you. We just want to let you know that up front. We're just curious about you as a company. Imagine that. And we ended up with the business. So the methodology is something that salespeople become more self-aware when they learn to respect what's going on in the buyer's brain, the acorn brain, that little voice where the buyer's saying, you don't know these people. How do you know you can trust them? What if you change and things are a disaster? You'll get fired. It's a methodology that's about conversation. It's not learning techniques and tactics. You don't need hours and hours of role play. Buy the book if you want. You don't have to use the app or my training. I don't have to come in to do the work. I'm developing a workbook that'll be out in a few weeks where you can do the training of your team using the book and the workbook. Use it yourself. I'm here to support sales leaders and CEOs to expand their ideas in terms of how to approach the marketplace. And this is a methodology that customers trust. And salespeople love it because you're encouraging them and you're helping them develop questions, and you're in the trenches with them, identifying ideal future clients. You're helping them develop a pipeline. You're not asking them, where's your pipeline? What do you got in there? How do you know what they've put in there, by the way? If you're putting pressure on them, your sales team is putting people in the pipeline that might not respect your business. They might not be an ideal client because they don't care. You're putting pressure on them. So if you email me and you're interested in the book, I'll send you a book. I'm not here selling anything. I'm here to help people. Just add a Steve here, Steve at stevelentini.com. I also have an app. Ask me about the app. And there's a link, by the way, to the app in the description to this live event. I'm here to help. It's what I do. There's a lot of history. You can read all about my history in the different books that I've written. You can go to stevelentiniauthor.com. So here's how to spell my name again: Steve Lentini, right down there. Add author at the end, author.com, stevelentiniauthor.com. You'll see all the books I've written. And most of my work is about becoming self-aware and emotionally intelligent. Whether you're a leader or a sales leader, a CEO, or a salesperson, it's an awareness, a presence, an energy that you start projecting, and you manage the energy that you're there to help people. You leave your goals in the car or leave them at the office. Detach from outcomes and be really present. And it's an emotional intelligence that's required that most people don't have, and they're not taught it in sales. And young salespeople that are just graduating from high school or college and going into sales, they're not taught this methodology. And there are some. Dave Brown wrote Servant Selling. Southwestern Consulting does a great job. I send a lot of people to Southwestern Consulting. I've been certified in their programs. I love it. I still do my own work. And this, helping people buy this book, will help your sales teams. And the app is very reasonable. I've got it priced now at $249, I think, or $299, and you get 20% off. And you can use the app. And it's for a year. And I include a monthly group coaching on Zoom in the app. It's very reasonable. And I have people that have tried it and they love it. So, by the way, I'm open to feedback. I can tweak it at any time. I love feedback from people. That's how I remind myself. Imagine not knowing. That's why I invite feedback, because imagine not knowing. You can train this to your people. I can train this to your people. They can read the book and have the app and the workbook and train it to themselves. It's about becoming present. There's no monotonous role plays that put people on the spot. Discussions. Hey, what are some of the great questions we can ask? What are we looking for? What's the ideal client that we're looking for? You've got ideal clients in your customer list right now that tell you what other future clients to be looking for, who to target. If you're a salesperson just hired and you're getting this message, ask your boss, hey, what are some of the best clients we have? I want to understand their profile so I can profile other people for my pipeline. And you're a leader, you should be helping your sales teams do that. I encourage you, help your sales teams find great clients for their pipeline. It should be like a X and O meeting before a game, right? Take what coaches do. And I don't care the sport, men's or women's, right? They're all plotting X's and O's. They're coming up with ways to deal with what they see on the floor. Well, you do the same thing, what you see in the marketplace. Help your people win. Authentic selling is different. Helping people buy is different. It's like Dave Brown's Servant Selling. Helping people buy, the idea is you're going to be present and leave your goals. Because if you're attached to your goals, by the way, you have commission breath, and it stings. So if you have any questions about the system, helping people buy, the app, or you want to talk to me and have me come in and talk about the book and bring the workbook, and we help build this system in your company, I'm glad to do it. Steve at stevelentini.com, stevelentiniauthor.com if you want to see all my books. I'm glad to help, and I'm going to be doing these every Friday, talking about different ways to install this methodology. It's very simple because it also raises the self-awareness of your team. And I also have programs for leadership. Your brain is brilliant, but it's not always your friend. It helps the culture overcome what I call small-minded, reactionary thinking. All right. Have a great weekend. What I'm doing is here to help. That's my purpose in life. Thanks.